And I'm here with Kevin Davis. He is about to take on a trip first down to Cape Town and then through Namibia and up into Africa. And then sometimes I wonder what motivates a person to take on a trip like this, apart from the adventure and the experience and the thrill that comes with it. Can you tell us, what are your plans? We're now in Toti, or some of our locals would like to call it Manzum, Texas. Because such a small town with real live cows walking around here. And we're at this beautiful place here, 305 on Kingsway, beautiful guest house with the Indian Ocean behind us. So Kevin, what are your plans? I mean, from Toti, what are your plans? Where about you going to travel and so on?
I'm doing a circumnavigation of South Africa first. So from here, tomorrow I'm going to go up to Stars of Sandstone, which is at the Sandstone Estate at Malutisig, just north of Lesotho, near Fariesburg.
Yeah.
And then from there take about a week going down to Cape Town, probably taking in Route 62, very famous route which I know a lot of guys in South Africa have travelled. And then down to Cape Town, Cape Agulhas, meet up with some friends, and then do the west coast up to Springbok into Namibia. And then from Namibia up through to the Zambezi region, across into Botswana, probably going to go around the Okavango Delta. Haven't made my mind up yet about that one because the road conditions are apparently quite bad. Then from there into Lusaka, Zambia, and then Malawi, and carrying on further north, Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, Egypt. And then from Egypt, I'm hoping at that stage it's still going to be possible to go to Jordan and then through Syria via the tourist route through Damascus, which apparently is open and quite fine now, into Turkey and then Europe. Then from there, it's either going to be up to the UK and then across the sea to America, up to Canada, or from Turkey, I might turn east and head towards Mongolia.
Sure.
Not decided yet.
Well, that sounds like a humongous trip, and surely it must take very particular planning before you can just take on a trip like this. What type of pitfalls have you seen in all your travels where people planning a trip like this, where they've made mistakes and it could cost you either some serious injury, or it could cost you time, it could cost you money, or serious inconvenience? What pitfalls have you seen in your times of travel?
The biggest thing that I think people don't focus on when they're preparing is they want to put a lot of effort into preparing the motorcycle with all sorts of accessories, and they want to kit themselves out with all sorts of accessories. But at the end of the day, the best accessory for your motorcycle is fuel, and the best accessory for you to take on your trip with you is time. If you've got the time, then nothing is a problem. Because if you have a breakdown or something like that, that's where you actually meet the people, because you'll be at the side of the road and you'll probably be a little bit vulnerable in terms of I need some help kind of thing, not because you're vulnerable from a safety point of view, but you know, I need some help, I need somebody with a bakkie who's coming past to put my bike on or take me to the next village or sort something out like that. But yeah, those are the two things that people tend to forget the most. If you are going to take on a long trip, I think even if you take on a long trip around the coasts, within the coasts of South Africa, and you plan sort of 3 weeks or more ahead, and you say, I'm going to sleep in that hotel on that night, on that day, and I'm going to travel so many kilometers on that day, then I think often that's assuming a lot.
Okay.
You know, it's better to just plan ahead. You know, old MacDonald, she wrote that song, Where You Going to Sleep Tonight? And you know, that sometimes becomes the order of the day on a long trip like this.
What triggered these type of adventures for you? I mean, what made you want to do this? Why not just ride around where you live? What made you cross borders on a motorcycle?
To me, it was the travel bug bit. So many years ago, I was touring around Europe, and I wanted to go and see a couple of more places. It was, you know, okay, so I've ridden around South Africa extensively on my motorbike, and I rode a little bit around the UK, but I wanted to go and see other cultures, other people, get to speak to them and understand what makes them tick and what have you. And yeah, the travel bug bit in a big way many years ago. So far I've done every single country in Europe with the exception of the Vatican. because you have to get special permission to take a vehicle into the Vatican. You can walk in and be a visitor, that's fine, but to take a vehicle in is not really easy. And I just unfortunately missed San Marino. I didn't even know it was there at the time. So those are the only two in Europe that I haven't missed. But so far, South Africa and all the neighboring countries, so including obviously the landlocked ones like Lesotho and Swaziland, but also Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. I've toured those as well. So now it's time to stretch it a little bit further.
I can't help but ask, and some of you might say, oh, we knew that, but I can't help but ask, what motorcycle will you be using on this trip of yours?
I've actually got a few different motorcycles. And to me, you pick the motorcycle for the trip. You don't say, oh, I've got this bike, what can I do with the bike? The bike is sometimes a means to an end, even though I do enjoy the particular bikes. But for those of you who probably haven't figured it out, it's a GSA.
Told you.
It's a GSA. The two reasons for that, I mean, in England, I keep a Triumph Explorer, and to me, in that country, that's the best motorcycle. The most important thing I look at when choosing a motorcycle is the after-sales service.
Thanks for that insight on the motorcycle after-sales service, Kevin. In your opinion, which items, if you had to choose 10 items, or we can go down to 5 maybe, items would you see as a vital component or tool on a trip like you're going to be undertaking now?
Well, other than the time and the fuel that I mentioned, people always take too much stuff. You know, I don't care who you are and I don't care how many trips you've done, you will always take too much stuff. So I've been doing this now for about 10 years or so, and I still sometimes take too much stuff as well. The kind of things that you need to take, I mean, for your motorcycle, I think something like a Garmin InReach, which is a tracker, lets friends and family know where you are. Also, it can be used as an SOS caller as well. The one that I use works on the Iridium satellite network, so it's not based on any GSM or mobile phone signals or anything like that. So to me, it was important to have that with me. It gives the friends and family back home that peace of mind that they know where you are and that you are still on the move, because they get an update every single day to say that you're moving. That to me is quite important. Safety gear for when you're riding the motorcycle is paramount. At GAT, all the gear, all the time. You never know what the driving conditions in different countries are going to be like, and the driving standards as well. So if you're riding anything bigger than a Honda C90 and flip-flops, then you should stretch your budget as far as it will go on your helmet, and then some. And then anything bigger than a Honda C90, you need your boots and your gloves. And then you can look at impact protection, abrasion protection and things like that. And then obviously also your wet weather gear. Clothes don't take too much. I mean, cotton is rotten. You don't really want to use cotton when you're camping. You take the textiles. Base layers, the trick with taking as few clothes as possible and having them as versatile as possible is layering. So you have a base layer, and then you have maybe a thermal, and then you have sort of, you build your layers up as you need depending on the heat. Would
you fit reflective jackets or some sort of reflective apparel into this toolkit of yours?
Yep. So the suit that I normally ride with is a Klim suit, and it's fully black. And people think, well, that's a bit odd being in such a hot climate, but it's got fantastic vents. And South Africa isn't always hot. Let's be honest. Sometimes it does get a little bit nippy. So you do want to zip the thing up. When I'm riding in dark clouds, dark weather, rain, storms and things like that, then even though my suit is fully waterproof and Gore-Tex, I still add on top of that a high-vis day glow jacket, just for the visibility. It also keeps your under jacket a little bit drier, so when you get to the hotel room or the campsite at night, then you want to dry your suit out. You're not sort of like sitting in a wet campsite with a wet suit.
True. People, I hope you're taking a lot of these in and taking notes, because I'll sending you a questionnaire and you'll be writing a test soon after. All right, so taking what Kevin is sharing here with us, I see it as very valuable. I don't nearly do as much of riding as what Kevin is doing or has done. So I'm also learning from someone that's traveled a lot more kilometers than what I have done in the last few years. So we've covered the bike. He's going to do it on a GS, but in the UK he does it on an Explorer. So That's good for me. Kevin, then you say you'll be going to Cape Town and then Springbok through Namibia and so on. Which of these countries that you'll be traveling through, is there maybe a favorite? And then is there the complete opposite of the coin, one that you would really want to get through and not even stop for a drink of water?
Yeah.
Give us
I think there are a few that I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to camping on the lakes, on the shores of Lake Malawi.
Yeah.
Up in Ethiopia at Lalibela, I'm really looking forward to seeing the rock churches up there. Uganda to me is also going to be a favorite. The gorilla trekking in Uganda, I'm looking forward to that.
Gorilla trekking?
Yeah,
Oh,
so you go into the mountains with the gorillas and you go and have a look at them. It's quite expensive. I mean, Uganda is got 3 places and they're about $700 per permit, US dollars.
Sure.
Rwanda is more sort of like westernized and they've got more of a tourist economy there, tourist infrastructure, and they've put their price up to now $1,500 to go and trek with the gorillas in Rwanda.
Sure.
So I won't be doing it there, I'll be doing it in Uganda. But to come to the other side of the coin, there are places that you want to get through as quickly as possible. Those kind of sentiments normally come about from watching the news or reading the newspapers and things like that. And for the last 10 years, I have not watched one news episode on TV. I have not read one newspaper or anything like that. I just cut myself off completely from mass media, and everything that I'd learn about the world, I learn firsthand. Instead of believing the people around you that say that the people that live over that hill are your enemy and they're not nice people, and just believing them, I want to go and have a look for myself.
True.
And 99% of what you see in mass media makes up less than 1% of your day.
I think that's a true discovery. I mean, ride, explore, discover.
Yeah.
If you wanted to use some sort of a tagline. By the way, Kevin is about to launch his blog. It's called ride2utopia.co.za, ride and then numeric 2 utopia.co.za. Basically meaning?
It's based on the Greek word utopia, U-T-O-P-I-A. It was a book written by a chap called Sir Thomas More back in the 1500s, 1516 if I'm not mistaken. And in his book he describes this idyllic island and society somewhere in the South Atlantic Ocean. But it's really a satirical comment on the politics and the religion of the day. Because back in those days it was all about the church and all about these crusades and things like that. So basically utopia is a Greek word that the author made up himself. It comes from the first part of it is you, which means no, and topo, which is topography, place. So it literally means nowhere. So ride to utopia literally means ride to nowhere. There's some confusion because EU-topia is the Greek for a good place. So utopia sometimes is referred to as a good place, but it's a slightly different spelling.
Take note of, we're displaying the URL for his blog on the screen. Visit his blog quite often. He's busy posting all his past rides in there when he has time to write a little bit. And there's also a map that you can follow Kevin's travels. Although it's delayed, so we're giving him some time to get a head start. But do go to the website and follow Kevin on his blog and also on his social media page. I'm sure you'll be sharing quite a few photographs with us, and putting that onto your blog and onto your Facebook page as you travel.
That's the plan. As I said just now, the thing that you have to take with you on your trip is time.
Time.
You have to have the time.
Make time. All right. Lastly, a subject that I just simply cannot steer away from. That's probably what I'm made up of. Motorcycle safety. Kevin, to you, how important is motorcycle safety and everything that goes with it? As far as you've mentioned riding gear at GATS, I love you for that. And then the other side of that is rider training. It makes you a better rider in certain aspects, and also the way you think. And those. How important is rider training and motorcycle safety to you as a person?
Very important. It's one of my passions. When I first decided that I wanted to use a motorcycle to go traveling and seeing places around the world, I chose the motorcycle rather than a vehicle, because I used the differentiation between being in a vehicle, you are a spectator, and being on a motorcycle, you're a participant.
Correct.
So you actually get to feel more of the environment around you and the people, and you're more connected to the places that you're traveling in. So when I decided to take the motorcycle, I was I was concerned that my focus was going to be more about what's going on the motorcycle, and being relieved that I actually got to the end of the day without falling off or having an accident or something like that. So I went and did some advanced training, and they just opened my eyes. You know, things that you thought you knew just became so many things that you learned. You just thought to yourself, wow, you know, if I knew this before, you know, how much more enjoyable would my riding have been before? So with the focus now not being on what's going on the bike, so your lane position is correct, your speed is correct, your observation is correct, you can see what's going on around you. Now all of a sudden your focus is not in your immediate area, your focus is now much further afield, and you can enjoy the vistas of the places that you're going through. You can also, because you're looking further ahead and things like that, you can also spot potential dangers. I mean, let's be honest, this is Africa. You know, so if you're about to ride into something that could go horribly wrong, you probably would like to know that maybe 100 meters before you got there.
True. Anticipation. It's called anticipation.
Yep.
All right. Just as a side note, Kevin on his travels, he's one of our channel sponsors for MSI. And I really appreciate you for that.
Always my pleasure.
Financially supporting us, and also with some merchandise. Kevin is going to be riding as the MSI ambassador when he travels in South Africa, and mainly up into Africa, looking at what they do in those countries, and if he can identify any other riding schools and talk to them about training and getting them their standards of training enhanced. So that they can take that through to their communities and so on. And I thank you for you taking that on yourself to stand in as an ambassador for MSI, and really preaching the word of rider safety and rider education in other countries where I possibly cannot reach. So again, for that, thank you. If you see Kevin anywhere on the route, and if he walks up to you with a little pouch and something in there, don't run away. Please grab him, grab the gift from him, but more importantly, talk about his travels, ask a lot of questions, and don't take too long. He's got places to go and people to see. So Kevin, again, thanks a lot. I ask for the listeners again, please do go visit his blog. It's going to turn into a hub of vast knowledge and experience of all his travels. And before I forget, how long have you been riding for?
Oh, my first bike was Port Shepstone, just down the road here. I used to ride to school and back on my little Honda MT5. Loved the thing to bits. So there'd be lots of bikes in between. There was a bit of a period in the middle there with, you know, family and kids and stuff like that, where the bikes had to take a bit of a back step. But yeah, fortunately now my my single life is made up of a lot of bikes. Focusing primarily on long distance traveling now. I would say for just over 11 years.
Sure. Okay.
11 years traveling.
That's a thing I see often sometimes from local riders or groups, where they say, let's go for a breakfast run, and they ride from Umhlanga to, for instance, Scarborough. I mean, goodness gracious, man, that's not a ride. Go do a 1,000k breakfast run. Senekal for breakfast. They've got phenomenal breakfast in Senekal, and be back before sunset. And while you come back, go buy a Harry Smith's, or even to places like Moorriver for lunch. That's the kind of riding that we should do more often. We've got a beautiful country, and I'm sure there are a lot of places where you and I haven't been to, and we can pull on Kevin's experience and extensive knowledge to help us not make mistakes that he might have made back then when he started off with this kind of adventure. Kevin, again, thanks a lot.
If we compare the countries, I can only second what you say about South Africa being, to me, it is the motorcycle mecca of the world. I've ridden New Zealand, I've ridden Norway, I've ridden Europe, I've ridden lots and lots of countries, but every single time I come back to South Africa, it is just so special, so special.
Yeah, I can definitely second that. Kevin, thanks a lot for your time.
My pleasure.
We wish you all the best for your trip.
Thank you very much.
Down to Cape Town and then up into Namibia. I'm truly hoping that you will have a blessed trip, and that you won't even get a flat.
It's been known.
Murphy's Law, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Kevin.
Now that you said it, I'm going to have my first flat.
Damn it, I'm sorry. Kevin, thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Please stay in touch and keep us posted on your blog and on your Facebook page.
We'll definitely do so.
All right, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right.